Hello everybody and welcome back to You Can't Win. This is Tom here and I'm joined by Dawn as usual, as well as returning guest Jerel. Today we're going to be talking about computer games and video games and all that kind of fun stuff, especially Cyberpunk. That's the big game that came out last month that has been in production forever, and it finally came out, and there's a whole host of issues with it, and everyone here has played it to some extent, and we're just going to kind of see what our feelings are about it, as well as talking about, like, this is a hobby that has exploded in popularity, like, especially this year. A lot of people are interested in this stuff. I guess, like, demand is like 10 times the normal amount for hardware and software for this stuff. So, yeah, we're all in different places as far as, like, how we game and what our situation is, so we'll kind of see what our thoughts are on that. And also discuss the fact that we're all 30 plus years old and playing with children's toys, and what does that say about things? So
yeah. How are you doing, Jerel?
I'm doing fantastic. Just enjoying my weekend. Probably am going to go play some games later. I have no idea what I'm going to play now that I've beaten Cyberpunk. I bought Devil May Cry, like the Devil May Cry collection, so I was thinking about giving Devil May Cry 3 a go, so we'll see how well that goes. How about you guys? How are you, Don?
I'm doing good. I was just playing Cyberpunk a bit. I'm still probably in the early sort of tutorial sort of stages kind of thing. Like I'm on like level 7, I guess, or something. Like not I mean I'm not like super far into it, but like just, you know, I find it like strains my eyes a bit. I don't know. Like I can only play it for so long, and then I feel like I'm so intently looking at the screen that like I kind of have to put it away for a while. I'm kind of like that with everything, but like that especially with this. But yeah, so how did you enjoy it, Jerel?
Well, I mean, a lot of people, I guess, are going to say the same thing that I'm going to say. It's like a flawed gem, I think. Like it's not like the stakes of like the story and like everything about it aren't as deep as like as Deus Ex, like the original one. But like the actual gameplay itself and like the environment, like the actual like environment of like Night City itself is just so like immersive.
Yeah.
And it just like kind of really hooks you in that you're really in this like, you know, dystopian cyberpunk city with neon lights, people walking around in different kinds of clothing, speaking different languages in real time. And when it works, it works.
Yeah.
However, when it doesn't work, it is very blatant. Like I had a couple of game-breaking bugs, including one during a story mission where I couldn't hit like the A button and it wouldn't let me jump or do anything.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know, man. It's a weird game.
So are you playing it on your computer or console?
I played it on PC. I was able to kind of enjoy the benefits of having an RTX card because I was able to score like a RTX 2060 on Newegg like last minute, like the couple days before Christmas.
Yeah.
At around MSRP too, and I was able to kind of see the difference in what it actually looks like. Because before, you know, it looked all right, and you know, now it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Like the RTX lighting does kind of make a difference, but you know, playing on PC is probably going to be the way to go, I think, for this one.
Yeah, so I'm playing it on PlayStation 4, which it's not like optimal, I guess, the kind of thing in some ways. But I honestly I can't really tell that. I'm sure if I like saw better quality like resolution and stuff that I would be able to tell the difference. But I'm still like such a baby gamer in a lot of these ways. Like I don't know. To me, it's like I was playing Skyrim a few months ago or something. So it's basically the same graphics as that. It feels like on the PS4.
yeah,
and it's like that doesn't really bother me because I was just playing that kind of thing. If I was like keeping up with all the storylines of all the games up until this point, maybe, but like I only got my PS4 about a year ago or year and a half ago, and so you know, this is all new to me. And but I do get like like floating beer bottles and AIs just staring off into the distance, not trying to fight me and stuff, and all that kind of stuff is in it. But like I don't know. I guess I started, pretty early with before with games. So, and then I had a big gap. So to me, it's like, wow, this is better than like Super Nintendo kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, when it works, it's better than Super Nintendo. Yeah,
that's
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also playing it on an RTX 2060 on my PC, and I think that is the card to play this on if you are trying to, obviously if you're going to get a 3080 or something like that and you're spending like $800 for a video card, then, obviously go do your thing. But if you're trying to do this on a PC for cheap, I think the 2060 is the one to get because DLSS is really amazing. DLSS is the AI upsampling technology that allows it to render at a low resolution, and then using AI or whatever, it like displays it at the full resolution of your display. So you're essentially, I don't know, you like double or triple your performance sometimes. Like it's really impressive. And so 2060 is not the card that you would want to play this game with it out of the box, so to speak, like at the native resolution. But with DLSS, you can do ray tracing even if you really tweak the settings and stuff. I think you've been doing that, Jerel, right?
Oh yeah, I had like a GTX 1650 that I was playing it on before, and it looked probably kind of like I would say like the 1650 kind of rendered Cyberpunk in the same way that like a PS4 or PS4 Pro would look. And I went from that to getting the RTX 2016, putting that in there, and it automatically enabled ray tracing and DLSS. And I'm getting like 60 frames a second with RTX lighting on, and it looks incredible. It looks amazing.
Yeah,
it's like a world of difference.
Yeah, it's a great looking game, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And so, what kind of like characters were you guys playing as? I guess does it converge over time in the game where you're pretty much anyone is the same kind of character, or does it like diverge into where you're like more of a net runner or whatever?
I mean, you have like the different life paths. Like you can have like the Nomad, Street Kid, and Corpo, and all that, and like you get different options like for like different dialogues and everything. Like for example, when you're talking to like the nomads out in the desert, you get like specific like dialogue options and choices.
Yeah. Based
on your life path as a nomad. But as far as like the actual like character progression of like the character, I mean, I think you can have any kind of character sheet, I guess, laid out, and you could probably be pretty successful in the game. Like I don't think it like really kind of matters if you're like a net runner versus like a guy who's like focused on melee, or a guy who's focused on just like shooting everything with a shotgun or whatever.
Yeah, what did you do? Like what was your style?
My focus is more or less just like heavy and like technical, like the technical ability, cool, and intelligence. So just like sneaking around and hacking into things, and just like occasionally getting into like a sword fight.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. That's the same thing that I'm doing right now, is just starting off like that, but like getting into that sort of thing. I figure like that's the hacking and all that kind of stuff is sort of like the unique selling feature of a Cyberpunk to me. It's like the shooting part is not as worried about it really, because I play Call of Duty and stuff like that if I want just a straight kind of shooter or something. So
yeah,
and I'm really enjoying that part. I mean, this is a thing that I used to play the pen and paper role playing games with Cyberpunk and Shadowrun and all that. And my like favorite video game of all time is probably like Super Nintendo's Shadowrun from like 1993. And so this to me is like, it's like I literally arriving in the future. And most things that like come out now with like that you want pre-awareness for kind of thing, like all the comic book movies and all that kind of stuff, I really have like no pre-awareness of. Like all the Doctor Strange and all that kind of stuff, I have no idea who they are until the movie comes out or whatever. But this is like actually something that I'm like, oh man, I get to spend Euro dollars, and I get to put cyberware in or something. You know what I mean? It's like, it's funny because it's like like peak nerding out for me, because I finally get a cyber deck, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's really kind of amazing to kind of have something like that, like a property that you used to play as like a kid, and like now it's like an immersive like real time experience for you. Like
yeah.
And this was just like really just like out of this world.
Sure.
Yeah. So Don, did you ever play the newer Shadowrun games?
No, I haven't tried them yet. I haven't had a graphics card good enough, but I was thinking of doing that soon. So, have you? Like, are they pretty good?
Oh, they're very, very good.
Oh,
They're
really?
it's not like it's not like Cyberpunk at all
Sure.
in that it's like an action game. It's more like a RPG, kind of like Baldur's Gate or Diablo.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'll have to try it out. I don't know. It's a different world. Like the difference between Cyberpunk, for people that don't know, the difference is that like Cyberpunk is more pretty straightforward kind of tech stuff. In Shadowrun, the bigger part of like a big part of the story is like more mystical, and like there's like dwarves and elves and all stuff like that, and like but it's still basically like a cyberpunk future. So yeah, I don't know. It's I'd like to play the Hong Kong one maybe or something, or Dragonfall or whatever, and just see how it is. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Dragonfall is really, really good, and you could probably play that on just about anything. I don't think you need like a particularly strong PC for that.
Yeah, I thought so too, but I tried to like before I tried to download it, and I don't know. I just my current computer, when I play like a game like EU4 or something, like the fan goes to 100%, and just it feels like it looks like it's about to melt or something. You know what I mean? Like it just like it makes a huge amount of noise, and it feels like it's not, it feels like it's chugging along kind of thing. So, but I'm upgrading soon, so I'll be able to play stuff like Crusader Kings and that.
I mean, to be fair, like EU4 is just like a bunch of like spreadsheets strung along with like a nice graphical interface. So, but it does the same thing on my computer is like
Oh, really?
strong. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like
Wow.
all those they have like all sort of tables and things to kind of account for. So it gets pretty intense sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So far in Cyberpunk, all I've really been doing is beating up a lot of the Tiger Claws people, just wandering around and hitting them with crowbars, and I thought that was pretty fun. So I've got it set to easy though, because I'm not really a game guy. I'm just learning this kind of stuff, so it's like I'm not great at. I'm more of like a button masher still. A lot of these things, so
sure.
I
found myself turning the difficulty down too. I just didn't. What it seemed to do was just make it like so the enemies took a lot more shots before they went down, and that just isn't that fun to me. Like, I mean, I prefer it if like they would do more damage to me as well, and I think that is the case. But once you reach a certain point in the game, you're kind of like all powerful, and you just do whatever you want regardless. So it was sort of like at a certain point just more fun to like turn that down so that like if something goes wrong, I don't have to like reload it 7 times over, and just do my like little hacking sneaky stuff that was like the fun part, and then move on with the story.
Yeah.
All the hacking stuff around like how it works with the like being able to ping and see all the things that are connected to the network and all that kind of stuff is just amazing to me. I don't know. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun. I enjoy that part of the game. The shooting is whatever. It's very unremarkable. The AI is pretty bad, so like it's very transparent. You can see like very, very much through the mechanics of it, and just tell what it's trying to do and stuff. And yeah, just not the best.
Yeah, it's like another kind of pet peeve I have with Cyberpunk a little bit is the wanted system that's in it. Like when you commit a crime or shoot someone in there, it spawns police officers out of nowhere, and they attack you. But you can like go down like a city block and like go into an alleyway, and they'll like stop looking for you, and the alert will go away.
Yeah.
And it's awful. It's really bad.
I think that whole thing is the best example of it. Really represents, I think, what happened with this game. What I think happened was sometime early 2020, they decided we need to get this shipped out. Anything that's not like ready and working right now needs to get cut out of the game. So I think one of those things, among many other things, is the wanted system, the whole like police chasing after you kind of thing. Because what they do is they spawn off screen, just like, snap your fingers and there they are, and they just immediately start shooting at you, and there's no chase, AI. Like they don't know how to chase you. They don't know like there's just nothing else to it. It just spawns a police like right near you, and that's it. And that's something that really feels like a placeholder kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And people have found chase AI in the game. They found models for police cars in the game. So there's all these parts of that seem like they were intended to be put into the game eventually and have like your standard GTA style, like the police chase after you, try to avoid them until your wanted level goes down, sort of a thing. And it just wasn't implemented in the end. And I think you can find this throughout the game in many ways. Like there's all these things where it just seems like something was supposed to be here and it's not. Like the fast travel. They're just little buttons you push in the world, and then you just like, I don't even know what they're supposed to represent. But there's an actual working subway system, like, or I don't know what you would call it. It's not a subway; it's in the air, but like a train system, a rail system in the city. But you can't use it. But but it's an actual, like the rails go from one place to another, and you can watch that, and it's like a lot of work to put that just into the background if there wasn't a point to that, eventually to actually be able to use it. So. I think there's just a ton of cut content from the game, and it's really not what they were advertising it to be. It's not what people were expecting, which is, it's not wholly the part of the developers and the marketing and all that. I think there was a lot of really ridiculous hype around the game, but it's pretty much a cut down version of what they were selling, I think.
Oh yeah, like they really like over delivered and like just undercut themselves.
Over promised and under delivered.
Right? Over promised. Yeah. God, oof, wow. Yeah, let's cut that one out. Like they really just like really kind of sold themselves short on this one. Like with other games of this kind of scale and size, like your Assassin's Creed Odysseys and the other GTA games. Those games have like literally like 1,000, maybe 1,200 people working on them, like artists and programmers, like designers, people doing motion capture, all that sort of stuff, right? They have like all these staff members on here, and I believe CD Projekt Red, they have about 500 people over the course of like 10 years, which for this game was not enough. It absolutely wasn't enough.
Yeah, they got a little bit greedy with their ambitions.
Oh yeah.
How long was this in development for? Like I don't know really much of the backstory there or anything.
They announced it like 7 years ago. They announced it in 2012, I think. But people are saying that it wasn't really in development until 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
And maybe even like serious development like 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like a huge mistake. It did all this marketing. They had like comic books. They had like a Netflix show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's fine. Like, if I had to just describe it in one word, I would say it's fine. I don't think that there's, like you said, it was like what'd you call it, an unpolished gem or something like that?
Like I think flawed gem. That's
a flawed gem. I would definitely agree with the flawed part. I don't know about the gem part. Maybe it's in there later. Maybe they add all of this cut content into it. But I don't feel like it's something that I can play again and really get a whole lot out of it. It feels like one of these games you just load it up, you play through it, and you're done. And it's supposed to be like, or it was originally supposed to be this open world thing, and those types of games you can play a lot. Skyrim, GTA, people still play that today for hours. I have like 700 hours on my Skyrim. Cyberpunk, I think I have 30, and once I finished it, I just turned it off, and I'm not really interested in going back and like playing the side missions because they're fine, but once you run out of that, the world is there's just nothing much to do. It sort of feels like a very elaborate map for you to walk from one quest to the other. And that's the biggest disappointment for me, to be honest. The bugs and stuff, I didn't experience a huge number of bugs. It definitely felt like a buggy game, but it didn't feel much buggier than something like Skyrim or any of these types of games that, they come out and there's little quirks here and there. There was like a quest that I couldn't turn in. I saw the floating cigarettes and bottles and all that kind of stuff. And there was one T-posing instance that, that's all very minor stuff to me. Even something like where they, like the quest that I can't turn in, like whatever. It just means like some minor thing that I can't complete. I don't really care about that. To me, like I would much prefer the game to be something that had a lot of replayability, and it just doesn't feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
But that could change. They did more than what you usually see with after release content with The Witcher. Like, I really like the DLC that came out for The Witcher a lot. I think that the 2 DLCs that came out were better than the original game, and really like not just like, oh, this is like a little bit better, but it was like significantly better. It was really like a big step forward, and I'm hoping we see similar things with Cyberpunk. I think that it would make sense because those would be a little bit reduced in scale and more manageable for them, and yeah, that would be really great. But as it is, it's fine. I had fun. It didn't blow my mind. I honestly, I don't know if I enjoyed it, but I didn't really enjoy it much more than maybe any other kind of game in this style. Like, it just seemed fine.
Yeah, I think the main thing for me is the lore and stuff. Like, that's
Sure.
I really like all that part of it. I'll have to see how the game progresses for me, I guess. And then see where it's one of those things where I don't even know if it'll be able to carry my attention to the end of it, kind of thing. Like, I don't know if I don't beat a lot of games. I just kind of play them for a while until I get what I want out of them, kind of thing, and then leave them as they are, and just kind of walk away because, I just gotta, it's more like figuring out how to play at the start and stuff. That's fun for me, and then moving on, kind of thing. But, I'll have to keep at it maybe and then see how it goes. But yeah.
I'd say keep at it. I think it's worthwhile to finish out a lot of the side quests, like the major side quest lines. I think there's some pretty cool missions in there that are fun and like well done. And story isn't amazing. It's like a video game story, but it does the job.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not as high stakes as like Deus Ex, where you're like out to like, save the world from this conspiracy or whatever. Like, you're just like a guy who's just doing the job, and he has this circumstance that he has to deal with in it. That's basically it. And as far as like their plans to release DLC, they're supposed to release one DLC like pretty soon in like 2021 this year, and they came up with a lot of different patches. They have like half a dozen patches already, about almost a month after the game's released. So like they are making strides to kind of improve it and put content out there. And I plan on going back and maybe trying another playthrough or something once all the DLCs and patches have come out for it.
Yeah, that's my plan too. Kind of wait for everything, for it to be like a fresh experience on some level, and then go back to it and take everything that I kind of learned about how the game works from the first playthrough and apply that to a second run. Maybe I'll enjoy it more. I often do sort of enjoy games the second time through more, so.
What did you like more about the Witcher stuff, like the DLC? Like what changes about it that it made? Like, I don't know. I'm not really I haven't really played much. Well, I get DLC for some things, I guess, but I don't really know. I've never like started a game and then waited for the DLC to come out and then upgrade kind of thing, like I've always just played older games or whatever. So like what was the difference for the DLC for Witcher and stuff? Like, what changed that made it better?
I think, well, they both take place in different areas, like in different places in the world. So it's a very dramatic change. Like, one of them is sort of in a Norse, rocky, snowy, very Skyrim-y style environment, and the other one is like this lush, like it's sort of French kind of like Disneyland kind of a place, and it feels very different from like the muddy, grimy Eastern European like thing that was going on in the original game, and they did it really well, and it felt like it wasn't just like a skin, like they changed the colors or something. Like it really felt like a substantially different area. The stories are very well written. I think the Witcher story is much better than Cyberpunk. There's some pacing issues with the Witcher. I think it is a little bit overlong, and there's a lot of padding and stuff in it, but the DLCs have none of that. They're really tight. Everything is just done like better. I think the acting is better. The characterization of all the important characters are better. The environments are better. It's a more interesting environment. The quests all feel kind of like there for a reason and not just there because they needed you to like have a way to level up a couple more ways before you run into like a big boss or something like that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's just like they understood their game and what was working with it and what they needed to do, and they just did it. And there's really like there's no problems with the DLC. That's what's really great about it. It's just everything that they're doing works very well. They've just excelled at everything they tried to do. So cool. That's not the case with Cyberpunk. I was really hoping that's what we would see, but it's not. Like the really disappointing thing is that there's a lot of little details in the game in Cyberpunk that work really well, and you can kind of see what the game could have been if that level of attention had been applied across the board. And I think if they just had another year even, they would have been able to do this, but it is what it is. So it's just disappointing to me on that level, but there's always DLC. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you guys what you thought about Keanu Reeves. I don't know how much you've encountered that character so far, Don, but just in general, what are your guys' impressions of this? Having like a major Hollywood star in a computer game, and how well that worked or didn't.
I mean, he was okay. I mean, he was kind of a little annoying to kind of deal with in the beginning, but I kind of warmed up to his character after a while. It was kind of cool having him interact with the different sceneries and
I like that
dialogues with the other characters. Yeah.
Yeah, I've not encountered him yet in the game. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that is. I would assume that that's going to be the future for a lot of this kind of stuff. Is that you'll see the blurring of lines between games and videos, and like film and TV and all that kind of stuff, where you'll have celebrities cross over into, especially if like they're big budget games and stuff with the size of the industry and stuff. So yeah,
I think you're right.
I think that right now it still feels like kind of a novelty in a lot of ways, and I wouldn't be surprised if eventually it gets to the point where you're just, a lot of these games have professional directors that are like more than just kind of almost like a sideshow from the bigger industries like film or whatever. So I mean, bigger in terms of like like artistic merit or something like that kind of thing. So
Yeah, it almost makes sense for some of the movie genres that used to be really big to move towards games instead, like action movies. Yeah. I think it makes a lot of sense for that to become a game thing, like a gaming genre where you play the action instead of watching it on a screen. And then you can have cutscenes and all that kind of stuff too. You can have like your stars in that, in the game and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then other things to kind of be more like, because things seem to be moving in this direction of like streaming more than theaters and big blockbusters and stuff like that. Yeah. Then maybe you have your more dramatic kind of stuff, your miniseries on your streaming thing, and then your action-y stuff, your big special effects are actually something you interact with in a game. I don't know, that kind of makes sense to me.
Sure. Yeah.
As far as Keanu though, just to throw my 2 cents in, I think it would have been better if it wasn't Keanu. Like, I think that it worked okay, especially given who the character he's playing is, and like just the nature of having Keanu Reeves, like what he kind of brings, the baggage he kind of brings to anything he's doing. I think that worked all right, but he didn't seem to understand what he was saying. Like, you kind of get that sense when he was like delivering his lines that it's like he didn't really know what he was saying. Like, I don't know, there was a little bit of a disconnect there. He was probably the worst voice actor. Like, all the other voice acting, all the other characters were really good. I thought they did a really fantastic job with all of that. The animations are really excellent. I don't know if they used real actors for that as well. I assume they probably did to some extent. But that all seemed to work so much better than Keanu Reeves, and that might be I think part of that might be because you know what Keanu sounds like, you know what he looks like, and then you see the video game version of him, and it's kind of not quite right. But if it's someone who you don't really know them, they kind of felt like they're characters, like Jackie and Judy and all these people. They felt like they're the people in the game. They're not like this actor from outside playing it. That's always a problem with stars, I guess. That's also true in like movies and things as well. But it felt like a little bit more magnified because it's a computer game. So there's like an extra level of distance or something there.
I feel that the addition of Keanu Reeves was like something they added in like relatively late into the development of the game.
Yeah.
Like it was just like something like 2-3 years ago. They're like, hey, let's see if we can get Keanu Reeves, and during the board meeting as like a joke, and like someone actually got him in, and like they actually used him as like a promotional vehicle for the game. What I don't like, kind of like a very very minor point about Keanu Reeves in there is like the game wants me to suspend my belief about Keanu Reeves being the lead singer of the Refused, like sounding like him, because they sound nothing alike. And you hear that song like over and over and over in the game, like the song that they made promotion for Cyberpunk, and it just sounds nothing. It's still nothing alike, and it's just really kind of irritating after a while.
Yeah, that's a bit weird. I think what happened with having him in the game was originally he was just going to be like this minor character or something, and then they liked him so much, or he enjoyed it so much, then they kind of like made it a bigger part of the game. But when you're playing it, you're like, how did they change what was going on before that they decided to do this? Because like the whole game is centered around this character. So you're playing this thing and you're always thinking like, all right, so this wasn't the original plan. And then you kind of start to notice little things, like things just kind of seem like just stuck in there so that Keanu Reeves is there and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I think they got a little bit carried away with just like what they felt they could do. They could have this superstar and that would bring it to the next level and all this kind of stuff, and really went in on all of it, and then just tried to make it work after the fact, and it just didn't come together as well as it could have if they just figured out what their resources were and kind of planned that out and made that work within like a manageable scale. I think it is just a little bit of they just overshot things basically.
Oh yeah. I'd be kind of curious to see, some of the choices they made in whatever design document they publish in a couple of years. Kind of like how you can see like the art of or the making of documents they created for the new Star Wars trilogy, and see some of the choices that they went with and didn't go with. I'd be really interested in that.
Yeah.
So, you guys want to talk about like hardware? I guess is that like the next focus? You want to go ahead and talk about?
If you want to, this game in particular, Cyberpunk, is kind of interesting because it's like, in a way, it's like the new Crysis. Crysis came out and none of the hardware that was available at the time was strong enough to play it. This game isn't quite as bad. You can definitely play it. Like we were saying, you can play it on a 2060 very well. Like it works pretty well. It doesn't work so well on the old gen consoles, supposedly, but Don seems to be enjoying it. It's really nice to see someone who doesn't just complain about their games and just like plays it and enjoys it. And it's
exactly.
Like, I like the Euro dollars. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Like, that's good. That's the way to be.
Yeah. The only time that it's crashed to the point of not working, it's not really. It was that what happened is I was driving for the first time in the game, and I hit a cement block, and then my car went on top of the cement block and wouldn't go anywhere. So I had to reboot the save, whatever. But that is the only time so far that like it's just frozen to the point where I can't play it anymore. So yeah.
It's funny, all the things that you have said, like that you've encountered that are oh, well, this, I did find this did happen. None of those things has anything to do with the fact that it's playing on the old console. Like, all of those problems are all in if you were playing it on like a $3,000 computer, it would be the same problems. It would just look nicer. So,
well, and it does have like, it does seem like very, very cartoony in the graphics and stuff, right? But like, and like people, sort of move or do things in kind of awkward ways or whatever sometimes. But like, I don't know why. What are the things people are complaining about the old consoles?
I mean, the big thing, I guess, is that it's just not, it's not very well optimized in general. Okay. And then especially on old gen consoles, which are like 5 years, 6 years old at this point, and even when they came out, they weren't really top of the line machines. So it's just like not able to keep up with the game. Like, I saw some videos that were showing like 15 frames a second, which is very stuttery, kind of like herky jerky kind of frame rates. So Are you experiencing that?
I think during combat sometimes it gets chunky and I can't really tell what's going on.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. But combat.
To be honest, I don't know. I don't really react quickly to anything in any situation. So to me, when it's the same when I'm playing like Call of Duty and there's a bunch of guys around or something too. Like it's not necessarily the frame rate. It's just like my reaction time is too slow, kind of thing. Like I have to like think it through and stuff. So it doesn't really bother me. No, I'm sure if someone showed me the difference, like I'm sure if you like side by side it, whatever, I would know. And I can kind of tell from like the computer graphics I see on like, I watched a few YouTubes about it before I played it. It looks a lot different, but like, I don't know. I don't know. I also feel like for some reason, I don't know why, I feel like I want to be charitable to the people that make this. I know that's like, they kind of exploit that, but I'm kind of I don't know. It's like, it's cool. I don't know. It's good enough for me. I don't know. Like, what I mean? Like, I feel like
that's a good attitude, to be honest. Okay. I mean, like there are people that CD Projekt Red is kind of, or was, I don't know if you can still say that now, but they were like the good guys of the gaming industry. They made The Witcher and they kept it updated and really like put in the work to make it good. And they, they were just sort of like a really small team that developed out of, they're in Poland. They're, that's not anywhere. There's not a lot of resources for this kind of stuff. And they just kind of made it work and they put out good games and developed a following. And, that's good for them. But they still got to, like, if they're going to do this kind of huge game, they still got to put out a decent product, right? So, But I'm glad you're enjoying it. You have the right attitude. I think people kind of get into a sort of like an entitlement sort of thing where it's like, this company is supposed to cater to my entertainment needs, and at the end of the day, it's just a game. Like, you enjoy it for what it is, or you don't. Like, there's no point whining about it. It's just a computer game. It's just a toy,
Yeah. So maybe we'll get into that now. Playing with toys in our 30s.
It's not really that big of a deal to me. Like, there are all sorts of people play video games. There are people that are older than us that play video games.
Yeah.
So
my dad plays video games. He plays World of Tanks and stuff like that.
See, there you go. I don't think it's like that big of like a taboo where if you played one video game one time in 2002, you'll never have a girlfriend ever or whatever. it's who cares? It's like a big who care.
Yeah, which is good and bad, I think, because I still am very nerdy about the way I interact with this stuff, and the fact that it's exploded just means there's games that I'm not interested in that get all the attention and the money and stuff, and it's changed the industry in certain ways, I think, and 90% of games that come out, I'm just not interested in them.
Yeah, I always see the the grid of all the different games available on PS4, and 90% of them I have no idea what they are even. Like, I mean, of like the ones that I can tell are bigger games too, like not even like a lot of them have like strange animation. I don't even know if it's in the actual game, but like the animation on the covers, whatever, looks like the strange Japanese stuff that like is like, it looks like for kids kind of thing, but it seems to be aimed at adults. I can't tell. So yeah.
Well, they're trying to hit like American and Chinese markets, and they're trying to get 15-year-olds and 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds. Like they're trying to do a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like Minecraft and Fortnite and all those styles of games. Minecraft is a little bit closer to something that I might play, but I'm not playing Minecraft. I'm just not interested in like chopping up blocks or whatever you do.
I'm going to stop you right there, Tom, because Minecraft with RTX on looks amazing.
Have you got to try that out on the 2060? Does that work?
Yes, it looks great, and plus it works with DLSS too.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah. Like they just patched it to where, like, you can have it looking at a reliable frame rate now.
That's neat, and I guess Quake 2 also, they have a ray tracing version of that.
I tried that, but it runs like it's awful. It still runs badly. Like it runs poorly on like a 2060 with like 16 gigabytes of RAM and like a Ryzen 2600. So it's I don't know what it is. I guess it just didn't optimize that particular port. But everything else that I've tried RTX on, with DLSS works great.
We have almost the exact same computer. I have a 2700X, but 16 gigs. Yeah, that's interesting. I got the 2700X on a Black Friday sale a couple of years ago for like $130 or something like that. It was an insane deal. I wouldn't have upgraded unless I had seen that, and now I'm like set.
Oh yeah, you're going to be set for like a long, long time with G2 as well. Like I got my 2600. I want to say like October, like November, earlier this year, when I upgraded my computer. Yeah, and it cost me about like 140, 150, I think, from Amazon.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing with ray tracing that I am more excited about is not the actual like, ooh, it looks pretty in the game, but the fact that it will remove a lot of work from the developers because it's essentially automating your lighting. Right now you have to bake in the lighting, which means someone has to go in and place the lighting sources in a way that makes sense with like what the objects that would light the room in the world would actually be. Like they don't really emit light. Like if you put a lamp, it doesn't actually emit light. You have to put a light source there. You have to make sure it kind of looks reasonably close to what you would expect. There's all sorts of little, like it's really finicky. It's really painstaking work, and they have to do that through a whole world. When you do that with ray tracing, it does all that automatically. You put a light source and it just understands like, okay, this is emitting this kind of light, and then it calculates how that works in the environment all on its own. So that essentially, like, that just cuts out so much work from the developer side that they can commit that to other stuff, So that's kind of exciting to me because that just reduces their budgets and they can put stuff elsewhere.
That's cool, yeah. Yeah, like I like the consoles more in general because I'm more used to it too now. Like I haven't really played much other than consoles since like my teens kind of thing. And I like the idea that I'm off my computer and doing something else kind of thing, like I just spend so much time chatting with people online or just telling jokes and stuff that it's like it's nice to turn off the computer and then go do something else, even if it's still a digital thing kind of thing, So that feels good. And then but it is kind of funny that like I was thinking that I would never have thought that before, like when I was younger. Like I would never have thought that like watching TV is a break from something, like a screen, basically. Like it's like it's like just the same thing, really. But like it's because it's passive in that way. It's it still feels like a bit more relaxing than reading all the agitated posts online and stuff. So yeah.
That might be part of it for me too. My PlayStation, like we got a PS4. We weren't intending to buy one. We got one gifted to us for it's kind of a long story, but someone sort of owed tabs and got her this PS4. And it's basically our YouTube and Netflix machine. So like we don't really use it for games or anything. And I think that kind of is part of the thing where it's like go sit on the couch when I want to watch something. It's not really
Sure.
And it's weird. Like I have different things that I would watch there than I would watch at my computer. Like
yeah.
So I don't know. And I don't know how I feel about playing with these toys in my 30s. I don't think that it was ever going to be different for me. I think that it was such a big part of my childhood, and it just is kind of like it's always going to be part of my life to mess around with computers, even if it's not as gaming focused. It's become less so as I get older, but I still like. I just like messing around with the games to see what the computer can do and stuff like that, and it's almost like, I guess, kind of like car guys, you know, like my dad's a really big car guy as well as a computer guy, and he's always like messing around with his car, and I sort of feel like that's what I do with my computer too. Like I try out different things.
Yeah, I think there's like nothing wrong with playing video games as like a side hobby or something to amuse yourself. Especially since we all have other things we like to do besides playing video games. It's not like the thing we exclusively like to do, like to the detriment of everything else.
Yeah.
It's sort of like watching movies, watching a show. It's just a form of entertainment, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And one thing I've always appreciated about games is, like, I think your dollar per hour is really high on games if you know what you're doing, and you're not. You're buying games that you actually enjoy, that you can play like 100 hours or whatever. Depends on the style of game, but something like City Skylines or whatever, those kind of like city building games, those are great too. Every single time you do it, it's different, and that can be hundreds of hours for something that maybe you spent $20 for.
Yeah, I bought like a PS2. Years ago, like I think pretty late into its run kind of thing too. And I was playing that a fair bit for just like playing like a game called Heat, I think it was, which was like a shooter.
That sounds familiar.
And it was sort of like a Call of Duty kind of thing, but like a few games like that, and NHL and stuff like that. And I think around like 2009 or so, I decided I wasn't going to play games anymore because I had to sort of like get my life together or something, and whatever. And that didn't really, but I did not play games really for about, like, in terms of like actually sit down and get really into them, for probably like 8 or 9 years or something. So
yeah, you used to make fun of me, like calling them Juegos and stuff.
Yeah. Because on something Alpha, there was a guy that we'd call them Video Juegos or whatever. And so I call them Juegos, but I'm, Tom's converted me, so yeah.
Yeah, and now you're getting the new hardware, and I helped you choose some of the remaining parts that you had to do, that you had to get to put that together. So yeah, I may be more excited than you about putting the PC together. I don't know, maybe about the same.
Yeah, I'm building a PC, and I'll be able to play Crusader Kings, and I don't know, become one of those guys that has like an avatar of like a Roman general or something, and I don't know, talk exclusively about like reconquering the Middle East or something. So
yeah, sounds fun, and I can't wait to critique your cable management and tell you got your power supply the wrong way up and stuff like that.
Sure.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's like it's not just a toy. It's like something that's just fun to have. That it's a piece of technology. It has a certain. It's almost like a vintage to PCs. Like you look at computers like 2 years later, 5 years later, 10 years later. It somehow embodies that time for me a lot more than many other things. So I don't know. This is probably true for different people, different things. But I'm such a nerd that for me it's computers. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually this is probably just the same level of nerd, is that I'm actually kind of excited to get the new computer and get Windows all set up on it and everything. And I might also, I'm also excited about, I might wipe off a lot of the stuff off of my laptop and then turn it into like a Linux machine and then use that. Yeah. And I want to learn more about, our friend Andy's learning about like Python and stuff like that. I'd like to learn more about that kind of stuff. I thought it'd be fun to have like my laptop kind of turn into play around with programming and all that kind of stuff kind of thing. and just really just have something where I can take that different places, whatever, and play around with it. So
yeah. Andy knows about all kinds of different Pythons, so just be careful. If he sends you some pictures or something.
Sure, yeah.
Linux gaming stuff, I guess, is pretty good these days, especially for older stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know. I've never messed around with that, to be honest. But that's I think Mike is a big Linux guy. So
yeah, he is.
He'd be the one to talk to.
Yeah, I always thought that maybe like the drivers or something wouldn't work well or something. I don't know.
It used to be like that, yeah.
Because I was looking at the thing, and all the games that I want to play on the Steam OS too. So I was even thinking of just installing it on my PC when it comes and stuff. So, but we'll see.
Cool.
I don't know.
It's not a bad choice. Windows is, it's Windows.
Sure.
Maybe we should get into the questions. I'm sure there are people who are not interested in any of this who are just like, why did I listen to 90 minutes of these nerds? So we'll throw them a bone here. Let's see. All right, how about this one? This is sort of related. What was your favorite toy as a small child?
As a very small child, I had a glowworm thing.
A glowworm?
Yeah, it was like a green puppet thing or whatever, like a toy, and it like glue in the dark. And as like a 3-year-old or whatever, 4-year-old. So I think that's probably it. Otherwise, it would be probably Nintendo or Super Nintendo or something. I don't know when it came out. I think Nintendo came out in 1985 or so, 1986 or something, and I was like 5 or 6 at the time, kind of thing. So yeah. Anyways, so just a very early adopter of the consoles, I guess. So yeah,
extremely early, day one.
Yeah.
For me, I'd say that Legos were probably like the thing I played with like the most by far, because it allows you to do whatever, like a 6-foot tall tower. You can make spaceships. You can make little forts for your little army men or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. Yeah. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I think I actually spent a ton of time playing outside with like sticks and throwing like pine cones at each other and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like in terms of toys, I think before computers, as soon as I got a computer, it was like the computer, and it has been since. I play with G.I. Joes a lot. I used to like almost like act out little movies with them, and a lot of it involved like slow motion explosions where they would like fly in the air, stuff like that. I had Pogs. I remember Pogs.
Yeah.
I used to have those. And Magic cards. I got into those relatively young. And I've always liked board games. My mom likes to play board games and card games and stuff, so she taught us how to play a bunch of those things pretty early. So, I'm realizing that I was always doomed to
yeah.
The cards were stacked against me. All right, how about this one, guys? By your estimation, when was the last time there wasn't any racism?
When was the Big Bang?
Yeah. I don't know.
I think 2016, late November. I think that's when racism was over.
Everyone felt like a black person then.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm Canadian, so I've never heard of this subject. I don't know. What is this? Racism?
It's about people racing against each other. So like who can run the fastest? And it's this particular group of people that have these fast twitch muscles. They're not as smart or as capable in other ways, but they are very fast. And so these people need to be taken down a notch, put back in their place.
Sure. I think I read about this in a Ron Paul newsletter. I don't know.
Right. That's right. Yeah. He's been woke on that for a while.
Sure. Okay, well, I don't know. Thanks for coming on, Jerel. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was like, Where are you guys going with this? Is this turning into like a Come Town sketch now? Because we can go there if we want.
We'll leave it there.
We'll leave it there. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I better get back to playing as a cyberpunk player. So that's
yeah. You can go back to enjoying it. I'll go back to griping about it.
Yeah.
I'll go back to being completely ambivalent about
it. Sure.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this episode and you'd like a second episode every week, you can subscribe to our Patreon and you'll get that, as well as access to our Discord where you can chat with us and our lovely community. If you'd like to send in a question for us to answer anonymously, then you can do that by going to the podcast Twitter at YouCan'tWinPod, and you'll find a Curious Cat link there. You can send in your question. We'll answer it on the episode. And I want to thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Peace, guys.